I never imagined a day would come when my own child, the boy I raised single-handedly, the baby whose feverish nights I spent awake tending to, the teenager whose every birthday I struggled to afford, would drag me into a courtroom. But life has a cruel way of showing you which bonds were genuine and which were held together by your love alone. My son, Daniel, used to be a sweet child, quiet and gentle, a little shy. After his father walked out on us, I worked day and night to keep him fed, educated, and clothed. He grew up with big dreams and eventually married a woman named Serena, a woman who always looked at me with thinly veiled disdain, as if I were something beneath the soles of her expensive heels. But I tried. I always tried. Even when she said things like, "Your mother needs to stop coming here unannounced," or, "When we want your opinion, we'll ask," or, "She treats this house like it's hers." She didn't know that every visit was an invitation from Daniel. She didn't know that I was often called there to help, not to interfere. Or maybe she did know, and hated it. The real storm began after the birth of their first child, my grandson, Samuel. They refused to let me help, refused to let me hold him unless supervised, as if I were a threat, and refused to allow my presence unless they needed babysitting. Still, I stayed silent. Still, I loved unconditionally. But the breaking point came one Saturday morning. I'd gone over because Daniel had called me, voice shaky and desperate. "Mom, can you come? Serena's sick. The baby hasn't stopped crying." I dropped everything and rushed over. Serena was asleep, the baby was screaming, and the house looked like a tornado had ripped through it. So I did what any mother would do. I cleaned, fed the baby, and tried to keep things in order. When Serena woke up 2 hours later and found me rocking the baby, she erupted into a rage so intense it left me frozen in place. "What are you doing here?" she shouted. "Daniel invited me," I whispered, but she didn't believe me. She grabbed her phone, stormed into the hallway, and screamed at my son for letting his mother invade their privacy again. They argued, she cried, he yelled, and I quietly and painfully picked up my purse and slipped out the door. I had no idea that moment, just a mother helping her overwhelmed son, would be twisted, manipulated, and turned into the accusation that would place me on a courthouse bench months later. 3 months passed in icy silence. No calls, no texts, no visits with my grandson. Then one morning, a thick, official-looking letter arrived, a court summons. Daniel Hale versus Margaret Hale. Charges: violation of privacy rights. Request: restraining order. The breath left my body in one violent rush. My own son was suing me. I sat on the couch staring at the paper as my hands shook uncontrollably. A restraining order? Against me? The woman who raised him alone? I couldn't even cry at first. Shock held every tear hostage. Then the flood came. Years of love, sacrifice, exhaustion, sleepless nights, and pain crashing down all at once. What had I done so terribly wrong? What had I become in my son's eyes? The courtroom was full the day of the hearing. Friends of Serena whispered behind their palms. Some looked at me with pity, others with judgment. I sat quietly, clutching the edge of my coat, trying to swallow the heartbreak lodged in my throat. Daniel walked in wearing a crisp suit, his posture stiff, his jaw clenched. He didn't look at me. Serena held his arm possessively, glaring at me as though I were a criminal. The judge, an older woman, with eyes sharp enough to cut glass, took her seat and said, "Let's begin." Daniel's lawyer stood first and began painting a picture of me as a clingy, intrusive, obsessive mother who couldn't let go and repeatedly invaded their private space. He said I entered their home without consent, that I was poisoning their marriage with my interference, that I was mentally unstable and too attached. With each lie, my heart cracked a little more. Then it was my turn. "Mrs. Hale," the judge said, "how do you respond?" I stood up slowly. My voice trembled, but I spoke the truth. "I never entered without permission. Daniel always invited me. I never interfered. I only helped when asked. I never wanted to cause trouble. I only wanted to support my son." I looked at Daniel, searching for the boy I raised, but he still avoided my eyes. The judge listened carefully and finally asked, "Do you have any proof?" I opened my purse and pulled out my old phone. I have messages." I handed it to the clerk. The screen lit up with messages from Daniel. "Mom, can you come? Serena's gone for the day. Mom, can you help with the baby? Please come. I don't know what to do. Mom, please don't tell Serena I asked you. Can you clean up before she comes home?" Message after message, day after day, month after month. The courtroom fell utterly silent. The judge's eyebrows rose, Serena's face drained of color. Daniel swallowed, visibly shaken. His carefully crafted facade began to crumble as the mask slipped inch by inch. The judge scrolled through the messages for nearly a full minute. When she looked up, her expression was colder and sharper than winter steel. She stared directly at my son and asked, "Mr. Hale, do you have an explanation?" Daniel opened his mouth, but nothing emerged. He looked small, smaller than I had ever seen him, like a child caught in a lie. He glanced at Serena, who glared at him with venomous disbelief. The judge leaned forward, her voice filling the room with thunder. "What your mother provided is not the behavior of someone invading privacy. It is the behavior of a woman who has repeatedly been used, manipulated, and lied to by her own son." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Daniel's face collapsed into shame. The judge continued, her words landing like hammer blows. "This court does not reward ungratefulness, nor does it tolerate weaponizing the legal system to mistreat a parent. Case dismissed." She paused, then added slowly and firmly, "And Mr. Hale, you owe your mother an apology, a real one, because one day when she's gone, you will understand the weight of what you tried to do here, and that guilt will not be kind to you." Silence swallowed the room, heavy, sharp, unforgettable. Daniel bowed his head, unable to look at me, or perhaps unable to face himself. Serena stormed out, heels clacking like gunshots, her face twisted in fury. I sat there in shock, finally letting tears escape, not from victory, but from grief. Grief for what my relationship with my son had become. Outside the courthouse, Daniel approached me with slow, hesitant steps. "Mom," he whispered. For a moment, just a flicker, I saw the little boy I once raised, the child who clung to me during thunderstorms. But I was no longer the mother who forgave everything without boundaries. "I don't know why you did this, but I won't let you hurt me again." He swallowed hard. "Can we fix this?" he asked, voice cracking. I looked at him for a long moment, letting the weight of everything settle between us. "I'm willing to try," I finally said, my voice soft but firm. "But only if you understand something." He raised his red, hopeful eyes. "You do not get to tear me apart and expect me to pretend it never happened." For the first time, Daniel cried. Real tears. Not manipulated ones, not guilt-forced ones, just pure remorse. And that was the first step. Not forgiveness, not healing, not yet, just a beginning. A fragile one, but a beginning nonetheless.